Turn now to Mike Davis. He's the founder and president of the Article 3 Project. Mike, respond to the news. An indictment may be pending here in Georgia.
Well, this is predictable and predicted. We've been talking about this Democrat lawfare to take out President Trump since last August, when Merrick Garland and Joe Biden greenlighted the unprecedented, unnecessary, and unlawful home raid on President Trump for the non-crime of a former president having his presidential records. That led to the unprecedented indictment of the former president by Jack Smith, this partisan special counsel appointed by Merrick Garland, who had been previously rebuked unanimously by the Supreme Court for a political prosecution of a likely presidential candidate in 2016. This is part of lawfare. We saw this with Alvin Bragg, the Soros-funded Manhattan DA, charging Trump for the non-crime of a businessman settling a nuisance claim. And now we have Fani Willis, a Democrat politician down in Atlanta, charging Trump, like Jack Smith, for the non-crime of objecting to a presidential election, which is allowed by the Electoral Count Act of 1887. Twisting arms politically is allowed by the First Amendment. This is lawless by these Democrat prosecutors because they fear they cannot beat President Trump on November 7th, 2024.
Yeah, the irony of this charge, and we don't yet have, unless what was leaked is accurate, but we don't yet have exactly what the indictments or the charges would be, is that it would be over the election or interference in 2022, when what they're doing, when you lay out the number of indictments, is the definition of election interference, because Donald Trump is the prohibitive frontrunner of the Republican Party to challenge Joe Biden in 2024. So that's the subtext of this entire thing. But take me to the Atlanta case. Does it present any special legal challenges? How is it different from Bragg in New York and the documents case in January 6th? What does this case say to you?
I mean, what it says to me is the Democrat prosecutor, Fani Willis, who set up a fundraising page to coincide with this indictment of President Trump, is trying to throw Trump in prison for objecting to a presidential election, which Democrats did. Objected to Republican presidential wins in 1968, 2000, 2004, and 2016. It's only illegal to object to elections in third world Marxist hellholes like Zimbabwe, and now Washington, D.C., New York, and Atlanta.
For sure. Would the president be expected to appear within hours or days? How do these things unfold, similar to other indictments we've seen?
You could have an arraignment where President Trump possibly goes down to Atlanta to have the charges read to him. This is like the third indictment now. This is unprecedented. We've never had a former president indicted in our nation's history. We've never had a leading presidential candidate indicted in our nation's history. But Democrats are doing this now, driven by Joe Biden, Merrick Garland, and the Biden Justice Department are waging all-out lawfare against President Trump. So President Trump could go down to Atlanta to face these charges. I will say this, if you look at the polling, all this is going to do is guarantee that President Trump is back in the White House after November 7th, 2024, because the American people are not going to let Democrat prosecutors, Democrat judges, and Democrat juries and Democrat hellholes like New York, D.C., and Atlanta pick our next president. The American people get to pick the president.
Mike, I think you're right. I think this form of lawfare is clear and evident to average voters and will create the kind of 2016 energy that the left is so afraid of and seems to be hell-bent on creating nonetheless. Mike Davis, thank you very much for your insight.